The CIA recently declassified a portion of a book that may well affect every single one of us. The manuscript has been classified for over 60 years. Until this day, over 80% of it is still hidden from the general public. Many are beginning to wonder why the CIA thinks that this book is so dangerous. Well, maybe it's because it describes the end of the world. Chan Thomas was a former U.S. Air Force worker and geologist who wrote a book titled The Adam and Eve Story: The History of Cataclysms. The book is about Thomas's controversial theory regarding the potentially catastrophic event that could lead to the end of the world and its connection to the Adam and Eve story. The book suggests that the story of Adam and Eve contains clues about a recurring cycle of destruction throughout history, and that a technologically advanced civilization was destroyed by a massive flood. The Chan Thomas book was first released by Emerson House in 1963. A third edition followed in 1965, and Bengal Tiger Publications reissued it in 1993. Now, the book has been cloaked in mystery and controversy for decades. It was classified by the CIA in 1966 before anyone could read it, and it remained a closely guarded secret until recently. The CIA recently disclosed 57 of the book's 284 pages in response to a Freedom of Information Act request. However, those pages have been sanitized. But why does the CIA believe that this book is so harmful that it has to be kept secret and requires censorship? The answer can be discovered at the book's end. The end of the world, according to Thomas's daring prophecies, will be brought on by nuclear war and drastic environmental changes. He paints a bleak future in which people become nothing more than props for the planet's people in power. Thomas predicts that the world's end will come at the hands of a combination of nuclear war and catastrophic environmental changes. He asserts that the Earth undergoes a pole shift every 6,500 years, causing massive geological upheaval that results in cataclysmic events, such as floods, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions. According to Thomas, this pole shift leads to a global destruction event that wipes out most of the world's population and resets human civilization. In addition to making these assertions, he suggests that the secret societies and powerful elites are aware of the impending cataclysmic event and have been preparing for it for decades. According to Thomas, these elites will emerge from their underground bunkers after the cataclysm and establish a new world order based on their own interests, leaving the rest of humanity to struggle for survival in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. The book suggests that humanity has already experienced multiple catastrophic events that have wiped out entire civilizations, and that these events have been caused by cyclical pole shifts in the Earth's magnetic field. The theory has been both criticized and praised by different groups, with some suggesting that it may have influenced other works on ancient astronaut theory and alternative histories of Earth. The book also suggests a theory that the biblical story of Adam and Eve actually contains a secret warning about a catastrophic event that will ultimately lead to the end of the world. According to Thomas, the story of Adam and Eve is a metaphorical retelling of a real event that occurred approximately 12,000 years ago, when a pole shift caused a global cataclysm that wiped out much of the world's population. Thomas argues that the biblical story contains hidden codes that provide a roadmap for surviving the impending catastrophe. Thomas believed that by deciphering these codes, we could prepare for the next catastrophic event and possibly survive it. Thomas believed that the cataclysm would be caused by a sudden pole shift, which would result in massive flooding and earthquakes. He argued that the survivors of the catastrophe would have to rebuild society from scratch, and that the New World Order would be characterized by a return to primitive living conditions. Thomas also claimed that his theory was supported by ancient myths and legends from all over the world, which he believed contained similar warnings about the impending catastrophe. It's of course not certain exactly what would happen, but a hypothesis of consequences of a shift in Earth's magnetic poles includes the theory that the protective magnetic field that shields the planet from harmful solar radiation would weaken, allowing an increased amount of deadly radiation to reach the surface of the Earth. This increased radiation would have a mutagenic effect on living cells, potentially leading to an increase in genetic mutations and an elevated risk of cancer in animals. However, it's important to note that according to NASA, the Earth's magnetic field has flipped its polarity many times before over the millennia, and life on Earth has survived these events without being wiped out. Other potential effects of a pole shift could include massive floods as the magnetic power of the Earth becomes less powerful, creating several low and high magnetic power zones that could impact not only the oceans but also the atmosphere. A pole shift could also affect the climate and weather patterns, causing changes in temperature and precipitation. Additionally, some have hypothesized that a pole shift could cause global calamities such as floods and landslides, although this is largely regarded as a fringe theory. It's worth noting that the magnetic pole shift and the geographic pole shift are different phenomena, with the former referring to changes in the Earth's magnetic field and the latter referring to a shift in the axis of rotation. The magnetic pole shift is ongoing and has been happening for millions of years, while the geographic pole shift is much rarer and has not occurred in several million years. The book by Chan Thomas also covers the subject of extinct ancient human civilizations and the cataclysms that destroyed them and caused them to disappear from the planet. The book includes much of the author's research going back to Adam and Eve and before. According to some accounts, the book discusses ancient mysticism such as Easter Island, Baalbek, Atlantis, and the Giza Pyramids, as well as why there's so much mystery surrounding our ancient past. The cycle of devastation and creation that Chan Thomas was referring to was caused by an alignment of certain planets in our solar system, producing a disruption in the Earth's magnetic fields and forcing the poles to change. He further proposed that this event had occurred in the past and would occur again in the future, and that it could be predicted by tracking the movements of the planets. Thomas argues that a pole shift could result in a global environmental disaster and widespread extinction. He speculates that the poles may get moved due to an imbalance in the Earth's core, causing temperatures to skyrocket and oceans to overflow their banks. This might lead to the extinction of entire plant and animal species, culminating in famine and malnutrition for humans as well. There is some evidence to support the hypothesis that the current version of humanity is the sixth advanced civilization to have developed on Earth, with each preceding civilization destroyed by a major extinction event. When this happens, the mantle that holds our landmass in place turns to jelly, causing the landmasses to be pulled 90 degrees, while the water on Earth remains stationary. It's like dumping an object into a glass of water and then rotating the glass in a circle. The water stays stationary while the rest of the universe moves around it. As a result, land masses are destroyed and the Earth is fully submerged underwater until the pole shift is accomplished, at which point the survivors start all over again. Many ancient Sumerian traditions, for example, relate to how they were given wisdom from God after the Great Flood, such as when Enki gave writing to Atrahasis. Historians think that these legends are based on true occurrences that were passed down through generations through oral tradition. The actual reason the CIA classified the book will never be known, but they may have been concerned about how people would respond if they were introduced to a scientific theory that implied the prospect of another big disaster wiping out all existing life on Earth. Whatever the truth is behind these beliefs, one thing is certain: the potential repercussions of large-scale catastrophes like pole shifts or extinction events are extremely dreadful. We can only hope that such catastrophic occurrences do not occur anytime soon, so that future generations can continue to enjoy life on Earth in the same way that we do today. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to check out the other videos available on our channel.